Hello friends, welcome to a new episode of the Comfy Synth Review. Thank you for all your feedback after my first video. Some things have changed since last month. Now that spring is here, and the world is bursting with new life, most of us are keen to meditate and observe the natural world. But there is trouble in the realm, and a few comfy synth artists chose to embark on a new adventure to protect their peaceful home. In this episode I will share my favorite comfy synth releases of April 2023. Stay until the end to hear about my favorite album of the month. Without further ado, let's start the comfy synth review. Marcha pour la cosecha by Karu Machay. Every month, we welcome new artists into the comfy synth scene. Karu Machay is one of them, and is hailing from Peru. On Bandcamp, the artist explains that this demo was inspired by the Valley of Flowers in Tama, Peru. Something about music inspired by real places is often very special and moving. And indeed, listening to these few tracks, it's obvious that the artist has memories, or some emotional connection with this place. This demo, as the artist calls it, is a lovely collection of soft, comfy synth tunes. The recording is very spontaneous. Some of the synth patches sound like they were pitched down or up, giving them some kind of whispery quality. There are a couple of unassuming melodies on top of it, that create a hauntingly beautiful ambience. Although this is the artist's first foray into the comfy synth genre, it is a promising debut, leaving us eager to hear more from this talented musician. Trouble in the Realm, Volume 1, by Trädvarelse. Picture a wizard scribbling a letter by candlelight. Only, instead of parchment and a quill pen, the mage is noodling on a synthesizer. Trouble in the Realm, Volume 1, sounds exactly like this. It has that spontaneous feel of an album recorded in a single night, with minimal equipment. Maybe just a drum box and a synthesizer. It sounds raw, authentic, with a slightly raspy lo-fi quality. The synths are completely stripped down, to the point where they almost sound chiptune, but not quite. I love the details on this recording, such as occasional tape glitches in between songs, suggesting an entirely analog process. The album's closing track, titled "A Figure Appears on the Battlements," has a spine-chillingly beautiful atmosphere. One more thing, this release has my favorite album art of the month. The Embodied and Unembodied Self, by PIYAKDU. Let's take a trip across the globe to India for our next musical exploration. PIYAKDU, a dungeon synth project from the Jar collective, has released this mysterious EP. The Embodied and Unembodied Self features two atmospheric 8-minute tracks. These compositions take the listener on a sonic journey. As soon as the music starts, you're greeted with a glitchy crackling sound that takes on the role of a minimal rhythm section. The background features an eerie synth pad that pulsates. It sounded to me like I was hearing the sound of blood pumping into my brain. The addition of choir synth pads adds a mystical finish to the overall sound design. Each of these tracks undergo a metamorphosis as they progress. It definitely makes you feel like there are more than just two songs on the release. If you like when ambient music draws you inward, PIYAKDU's release is definitely worth giving a listen. Hare Saves the Kingdom, by Succulent Sounds. Here is a lovely little EP. It's a little rough around the edges, especially in terms of the production. Some flutes and synths have a lo-fi sound, while other instruments, like the drums, are crystal clear. But once you put these minor inconsistencies aside, you will find it to be an exhilarating release. The tunes are incredibly catchy. You can feel the artist was heavily influenced by RPG video game music. The arpeggiator bass drives the music through the whole album. There is great potential with this project and I would love to see what the next release will look like. The EP concludes with a satisfying callback to the first track, bringing the hero's quest to an end and welcoming him back to his village in triumph. Hooray, Succulent Sounds. In Wind-Shaped Woods and Twisting Vales, by Feth. The enigmatic music project Feth has dropped what is probably the most experimental album on our list. Feth publishes EPs across multiple Bandcamp pages, all titled Feth 1, Feth 2, etc., each page seemingly dedicated to a different part of the animal kingdom. This album is part of Feth 3, the bird realm. This music is quite unique. Feth creates a gentle mayhem of digital organs, pianos, horns, and some ominous drums. There are so many things happening in a song, but oftentimes the musician would hold a note or chord through a whole measure, which kind of hypnotizes you, and make it seem like everything is okay. It instills a sense of an eerie calmness before an impending doom. The song, Caught in a Mystic Web, is my personal favorite track of the month. It is particularly intense and unnerving, yet oddly comforting. Basic Shapes, An Introduction to Geometry, by the Math Wizard. The award for the quirkiest release goes to the Math Wizard, a new comfy synth project born in France. On Bandcamp release notes, the artist presents this release as being a tribute to educational learning softwares from the 90s. The album art perfectly captures this aesthetic. Some purist dungeon synth fans would roll their eyes at such a fun little wizard, but it's definitely right at home in the comfy synth genre. Artwork and aesthetic aside, the music itself is very impressive. The album is a collection of great chiptune tracks. It has a slightly dark tone, which I think is perfect for this project, as it creates a contrast with the cheerful aesthetic. It does have that suffocating atmosphere of an underground level on a video game. The compositions are top-notch. I usually find chiptune music to be hard to listen to, because of aggressive tones. But this one did a brilliant job in avoiding that. If you want to learn all about square and triangle waveforms, among others, give this one a listen. Volume 2, by Mr. Hare. Only 1 month after Volume 1, Mr. Hare is back with its dark, mysterious and poetic comfy synth. French dungeon synth artist PIYAKDU puts this musical avatar back on. The formula is the same, and it's still as effective. The dusty old harmoniums are spitting out some beautiful gloomy tunes. The songs are short and sweet, like twisted little haikus. The music is very comforting, but also very loud and compressed. Any second of silence is instantly filled with loud tape noises. On some of these tracks, Mr. Hare is chasing an elusive feeling, following his raw musical instincts. This is a wonderful follow-up to Volume 1. I hope we can expect more albums from Mr. Hare. At this point, and even though this project is very enjoyable as it is, it would be great to add some variety to the sound. To be continued. Gnomish Delights, a split album by Deep Gnome and Springbier. In April, the comfy synth scene welcomed with great delight this very Gnomish collaboration. I'm a big fan of crossovers like these, and I plan to make a video someday about the best split releases that came out of comfy synth. Gnomish Delights is a selection of playful and dreamy music. The album starts off with Deep Gnome's very ethereal wind chimes, plucky glockenspiels, and flutes. We even get a tuba on the first track. Then, slowly, the album opens up, with more pads and electric pianos, adding layers of melancholy, while still keeping that signature plucky sound. The transition to Springbier's songs is seamless. Little gnomes are hitting tambourines and tiny bells left and right. By that time, it's obvious that the jolly creatures have had a few beers, and, while the tempo may seem a bit off here and there, it still sounds great and very joyful. The party lasted until dawn, and the gnomes probably slept throughout the next day. Arda's Herbarium, Volume 4, by Ithildin. With so many Tolkien-inspired projects in the dungeon synth community, it's very difficult to stand out. But Ithildin is definitely one of the most unique projects in the space. This album is the latest installment of Ithildin's series about the flora of Middle-earth. It's an incredibly lush and mystical EP with captivating melodies and intricate textures. The artist uses all the colors in his sound palette, mixing instruments such as flute synthesizers, harmoniums, and glockenspiels, with natural sounds like wood cracking. This variety in the sound design reflects perfectly the flora that the artist is portraying. But it's still a very cohesive body of work. And this, to me, shows that Ithildin is a master of his craft. With such exceptional and prolific artists around, there is no question in my mind that the comfy synth genre still has so much to offer. This brings me great joy. I will conclude with a friendly advice. You don't want to sleep on this album. Go grab it on Bandcamp. Melancholy Tales, by Fable Sage. This one is my favorite album of the month. What a treat. The compositions are incredibly inventive, and the arrangements are to die for. Harpsichord-like keyboards, pan flutes and other whimsical synth sounds, every instrument is exactly where it needs to be. With its slight reverb on the master, it sounds even more immersive, like the soundtrack of an addictive adventure game. You can almost feel the album is telling you, close your eyes and you will be transported to a peaceful fantasy world. I can definitely sense some influence from iconic fantasy dungeon synth projects. The magic is there, song after song. Melancholy Tales is the kind of album you need to have downloaded on your phone at all times. A phenomenal first release from this new project. And that's all for today. What albums did you enjoy this month? Remember to leave a comment and let me know. As always, thank you to all comfy synth artists. I will be back next month for another comfy synth review. And remember to support your favorite artists on Bandcamp. Good night.